IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today's fun fact of the day has to do with Zoroastrianism. Did you know that Zoroastrianism was one of the first monotheistic religions in the world? And monotheism is the belief that there is one God. The religion started way back in 1000 BC, and hence many of the beliefs have shaped the thought processes of religions that have followed after that. And, I never discuss religions on the podcast or the concept of God because that is a very unique thing to each individual. We all have the ability to think and choose what we believe. So today's podcast is not about a religion, but a story. A story that I was told probably 1,000 times as a child, being brought up as a Zoroastrian, or in India as you're more commonly known, Parsis or Babajis. So the story is about how we fled from Persia or Iran, that region, and sailed in a handful of boats across the Persian Gulf, and we landed in Gujarat. Now, the king of that region where we landed did not want to give us asylum. He brought out a bowl of milk and filled it to the brim. Then he said something to the effect of, "This is my kingdom. If I add any more milk, the bowl will spill over. In the same way, if I will allow you to stay in my kingdom, it will overflow." To which the Parsi head priest took out a small pouch of sugar that he was carrying. Now, why was he carrying sugar? To meet the king? Was he hypoglycemic? God knows. But anyways, he took out a pinch of sugar and put it in the bowl. And then he said something like this. He said, "Just as the sugar melts into the milk, we too will melt into your culture. And just like the sugar, we will sweeten your kingdom." And this seemed to have worked because the king was floored by this priest's counter analogy and the Parsis were allowed to stay. Now, I might have gotten a few details wrong here and there, but I like the response of the priest, and that is what I wanted to share with you today. You see, as your habit coach, I want you to get into the habit of leaving people you meet sweeter, happier, and better than you found them. We all have the ability to make a dramatic impact in the lives of the people around us. We just don't know it. We can make their lives sweeter with the use of our words, with our actions, through the compliments that we share. Imagine a world getting sweeter not by glucose and fructose and corn syrup, but a world where the human beings themselves were sweeter and more pleasant. As you know, I'm a big believer in the idea that change starts with us. We cannot force anyone to change. We have to change ourselves first and then inspire and influence others to change. Ask yourself, do you spread sweetness wherever you go? Or are you just neutral? Or do you end up spreading bitterness? Because whatever we do more of is what the world will turn into. So your super simple habit starts by spreading sweetness wherever you go. Get into the habit of giving people compliments that they do not expect. Tell people how much you admire their effort that they put into the work that they do. Tell them about something that you notice about them when you met them for the first time. You can give gifts. You can show care. You can do little things that are surprises. And this way you leave a person's life sweeter and better than you found it. This way the lives of everyone in the world can change for the better. Usually in a podcast, it's me who speaks to you and you who listens. But I've been seeing your comments and it's time. It's me listening to you. Following the overwhelming success of this podcast, the good folks at IVM Podcast Network have decided to come up with a Kannada adaptation of the show for those who prefer listening to it in that language. Do make sure you let your Kannada speaking friends know about this as well. So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome 180.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On this year-end special of Think Fast, Varun and Suchita give their predictions on what lies ahead for the world of business and startups in 2022. We have Manjima Chatterjee with us on Audio Gyan. She is a drama explorer and educator. Kedar and Manjima talk about the new education policy, Bengali plays, and a whole lot more. On a Cock and Bull episode of Cyrus Says, Antriksh and I joined Cyrus to discuss New Year resolutions, no restaurant food for cops, and COVID self-tests. On All Things Policy, the Takshashila folk discuss major events and trends in the tech policy space and their expectations for 2022. On Simplified, the gang looks back at how the last 12 months have passed for them personally. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, do tell a friend. The word of mouth absolutely is essential to us. Don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms that you've been listening to. And also, I'd like to ask everybody to check us out on YouTube. We have a number of channels going. You can find all of them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Intel. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Do you like true crime stories?
Do you like to learn about the people behind some horrible, awful crimes?
More specifically, women that may have committed these crimes.
Actually, Indian criminals that are women?
Then we'd like to welcome you to our podcast, Misconduct. My name is Raghavi.
And I am Nisha.
We cover themes like murder, dacoity, drug trafficking, financial fraud, kidnapping, and many more.
You can catch us every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcast.